there, Jim Hart back at you here again with another episode of, I think we're calling this the Ask a Lawyer show. Is that right? I think that's what we're doing. Anyway, today I want to talk to you about the 5 things you need to know if you're going through an equitable distribution in the process of your divorce. So a lot of people ask about divorce in North Carolina. They want to know, how to file for divorce. But one of the things about North Carolina that's a little bit different is that you can file for equitable distribution before you actually file for divorce. And in fact, you should. If you don't do that, you can actually lose the right to file for equitable distribution. So the divorce is just one part of the process here in North Carolina. When you're going through a divorce or separation or divorce, what you're really doing is you are dividing up property, that's equitable distribution. You're providing for spousal support, that's the payment of income from one spouse to the other to meet their basic living needs. You could be dealing with custody issues if you've got children. You could be dealing with child support issues. These are all the different components that go into filing for divorce in North Carolina under this gamut of filing for divorce. But let me talk to you a little bit today about the property distribution, which is also called equitable distribution. There's a couple things you need to know. The first thing you need to know is you are not entitled to get attorney's fees if you need to file an equitable distribution case. Unlike if you're filing for alimony or child custody or child support, you can ask the judge to order attorney's fees from your spouse to you so that you can get help paying for those things. Equitable distribution is a little bit different, and you are not entitled to attorney's fees for pursuing the equitable distribution portion of your case. That's important to understand and know. The second thing you need to know is that you have to preserve your claim for equitable distribution by filing for equitable distribution before the divorce goes final. If you wait until after the divorce goes final, then you lose the claim to equitable distribution. This is the same as alimony. With alimony, you also will lose the claim to alimony if you wait to file until after the divorce goes final. The court doesn't have any what's called jurisdiction or legal authority to hear those claims if you've already been divorced. That's the second thing you need to know. The third thing you need to know is you cannot actually file for equitable distribution until after you've been separated from your spouse. And so separation in North Carolina, I've got a video about that, I think here. Separation in North Carolina means you have to move out, you have to move into another residence. If you're living in the same house in a different bedroom, that doesn't count. So you have to actually be physically separated. So that's the third thing you need to know about equitable distribution. The fourth thing you need to know about equitable distribution is that equitable distribution, the judge can only divide up what is called marital property. That's property that you've acquired during the marriage and before the date of separation. Anything that was acquired before you married or after you separated is considered separate property. The judge does not have any discretion or authority or jurisdiction or anything like that to divide up that property. So if you separate and your spouse goes out and wins the lottery after you separated, that's going to be their property. The judge can't divide that. In addition, if you receive an inheritance, even if it's during the marriage before you separate, but you receive that from a family member who gives it to you and not to your spouse, that is also considered your separate property. There's special rules you need to follow to make sure it stays your separate property, but that's outside the scope of this video. What else can I tell you about equitable distribution? I think the other thing that's really important is you have to consider the different types of assets. So typically what we're dealing with is real estate or houses. We're dealing with retirement accounts. We're dealing with cash and investment accounts. And we're dealing with personal property like cars, furniture, things like that. And when you're doing an equitable distribution analysis, you want to make sure that you kind of evenly divide each of these categories between the spouses, especially when it comes to retirement, because if one spouse gets all the retirement and one spouse gets all the cash and it's the same amount of money, it's actually not, because a retirement account is worth less dollar for dollar than a bank account with cash. You'd much rather have the bank account with cash because you don't have to pay taxes or penalties to take and make use of that money. Whereas with a retirement account, if you need to withdraw that money for any reason, you would have to pay taxes and penalties on that if you're under age 59 and a half. That's pretty much all I can tell you about equitable distribution today. So that's 5 things you need to know. I think I went through 5. 5 things you need to know about equitable distribution. If you got any questions, I am a divorce lawyer in Cary, North Carolina. I'm going to put my information down here. Feel free to reach out, and we would be more than happy to help you if you're in the Triangle region. Again, my name is Jim Hart, and I'm with the Hart Law Firm here in Cary. Hope you have a great day, folks. We'll talk to you next time.